And then I believe he goes on and tells us how to do that. And so when we look at the brotherly love that Brother Jim has brought before us, a family member that was he grew up, didn't really have a good father. One of my other family members went to him and was trying to correct him, trying to put him on the why was that? And love comes in two sides to it. There's a correction side, but there's also we're not spending our time encouraging and doing that end of it and pray. I hate to say much, and so brotherly love is a love that's there always. If we think about our brothers in natural sense, our brother in the Church of God, then we need to make sure that we're encouraging one another on a regular basis, so that whenever a time meant something to him, whenever she corrected him, well, why is that? Because he loves her, and there's a great love that he has there, and that's the same for us. The people that we love, it means, their words mean something to us. And so he says, let brotherly love continue. Let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. In our homes, and I'm not talking about in the church. That's one thing that we aren't trying to do in the church. Understand? But whenever he says read them, we like to sit and visit and discuss scriptures with them. For thereby some have entertained angels unaware. To entertain someone that you don't know is a little bit stronger of a task than to say, well, entertain your family. And to remember them that are in bonds as bound with them, and them which suffer adversity as being yourselves also in the body. Thinking about those was being in bonds, for speaking of the truth of the gospel, speaking about Jesus Christ. And today we're not bound because we speak the gospel of Jesus Christ here, thankfully. Different things that we face today are adversity to us, and we need to remember that we are able to partake of. And he says not just to remember them, as he says, remember them that are in bonds as bound with them. Try to put yourself there and try to say, okay, well, how is, and I think that thought process, try to say, what is it, what got them there? How did they get there? Why are they staying there? And what would be the best way for me around us that are dealing with various sicknesses and cancer, different ailments, that think about the bonds that are there. I go back to Peter whenever he was in prison, and the church of, I wish I could do something else. I wish I could, and I get this picture of the church there praying for Peter's release. Peter gets released by the power of God, and he goes and knocks on the doors as they're praying for him, and they're so surprised that he's there that they don't even believe that their own prayers worked, and so sometimes just praying for our brethren and remembering them. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Let your conversation be that is presented. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. And that is that we have in knowing that the Lord is with us is something that is beyond the things of this world. The the situation that we're in, our voice should always be, the Lord is my helper. This is what he's going to go back to some of the diverse and strange doctrines that we stay out of. But here, as we look at this, and it says that this week of someone, they were talking about why you would not want deals for anything that they had. You know, they didn't want to use electricity because they had to time. The mindset is right that whenever we look at different things and we look at it, we want to realize that every blessing that we have in this world is talking about in spiritual senses, that we are, going back to the point that it says, let us have grace whereby we may not be looking at what is going to happen to me if I do what the Lord has told me to do by man, you understand, and whose faith follow considering the end of their conversation. Jesus Christ, the same tomorrow, and he's the same tomorrow as he was yesterday. And then he goes on. All right, now this is where I wanted to get to be tied therein. We have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle. Now, when we look at the sacrifice upon the altar and the carcasses that were remaining would be taken without the camp. And then it says, so we have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle, for the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought out the camp, bearing his reproach. I think there's a picture here that he's trying to paint to us, is that as we got up and moved tables, he went away from the Gentiles to the Jews. And as he was, they're eating something that we're not allowed to eat under the law, and so there was still a mindset that was between the way with diverse and strange doctrine. All of those things, those diverse and strange doctrines, those things are serving the Lord. That is what it is to serve the Lord, is to let brotherly love continue. That we should seek him, and he took Kate, forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. All these things that he's presented up, and to communicate, forget not, for which such sacrifices God is well pleased. You think about those sacrifices where communication is at a premium. We have such great. We can call people. We have. I'm only touching on a few, but you understand communication. I'm not that old. I don't think. Some people think I am, Kylie. Message if they had an answering machine, but most people didn't even have an answering machine. So you would call, and you might not get them. You might call again. You might not, or give me a few minutes or whatever, and you find a convenient time to communicate with someone. Figure out what is going on. Having those personal conversations that is, you're like, you're right, I shouldn't do that. Those relationships that we have, we need those relationships. And here he says, let me back up a little bit further. For the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned without the camp. Wherefore Jesus also without the camp, outside the city, outside of Jerusalem, outside of that. Well, there's a picture here the be not carried away with diverse and strange doctrines. Any of the diverse and strange doctrines give the praise, and everything that we do gives praise and glory unto God. Everything. And he says, for here have we no continuing city, but worried and concerned and frustrated. And I'm not saying that those aren't things that we do. That this is not going to be forever. This is not but we seek one to come. And so as we're worried for us, we think firstly upon the sacrifice that he has made for our sins, and that he has done for us. Then whenever he says don't do that, and he gives us a correcting word towards us and says not do that, I want my God to be able to look at the works that I'm trying to do, and realizing that none of us are perfect. I get that, but we ought to, our goal, the situation that the conversation that I had a while ago about my two family members, the one had never shown any encouragement. We serve the God that we look. He says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. He's with us in the good times, just as an individual, to look at our own lives and say, I'm not, but it's also just as easily for us as individuals to try to cover up our own transgressions and say, no, I don't want anybody to know about that. Love that God has for us is a correcting love. And we go back there, it says marriage is honorable and all, and we ought to be thankful for that. And whenever we feel the correcting hand of God come upon us, and we feel his love towards us, what is going to be our me? Once again, how much that you care for me. Someone has a rule over us. Those that watch for our souls, which ought to be our brothers in the church, is unprofitable for you. It is a great task that we have been given, as don't try to show influence where you have none. And you're not doing them it's not doing any good. You don't have any influence in that situation. It's probably better for someone else to do that. If ourselves to the correction by the members of the church. That is one of the things as a member of the church that we in the world. Now, is it grievous? Absolutely. Sometimes there's a lot of grief in that, but we should not do it out of. We ought to receive it with joy, more than with grief. Pray for us, for we trust we have a good conscience in all things. Willing. Pray that we lift each other up. Remember one another throughout the week. Think about one another. In times past, it wasn't that easy. And before my time, people would live out on their homestead and be out there but as brothers and sisters, we need to remember each other, try to lift one another up, and try to bear one another's burdens together. I hope those thoughts were of some benefit to you. Here in the vineyard of the to my God till the dying hour, standing in the right place, we of times meet both night and day, and pray and find the Lord most preciously wounded. Perhaps we shout his praise. Anything before we dismiss? Brother Isaac, would you dismiss us in prayer, please?
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Please let them be in heaven with you, and please let them have no more pain. Please help all those that have lost their jobs. Help them to find new ones or find some other way. Thank you for this church service and this church. Please help all the members here and help our pastor, preachers. Please